When I first started, I definitely wasn't in that paradigm of restfulness. There was no such thing as like weekends. Every day is like Monday. It was so bad to the point where like friends who had left the country to study would come back and visit and be like, oh, Huron, let's go have dinner. And then I'm like, oh no, I'm busy, I just wore this badge of busyness on which now I just really disagree with.
So Huron, you yourself, you're an entrepreneur and a marketing and growth strategist whose work has generated hundreds of millions of dollars for both your clients and your own business. He runs an e-commerce company which serves thousands of customers in over 77 countries. Today, they have hundreds and thousands of followers, millions of views on YouTube, and a higher sales volume than all their competitors combined.
Hi, I'm Huron, and I'm on a mission to inspire and reshape beliefs so that people can escape their doom loops and reach a high level of truth, freedom, purpose, and meaning.
How do you get to something that is restful, and what is restfulness?
So I see time as this thing which keeps sliding forward. You just have to keep paying for whatever you put on this conveyor belt. And if you have nothing there at the end of the conveyor belt, when it comes time to pay, you're going to pay for nothing. Rather than say, I keep churning out a lot of things, I never really know what works, but it makes me feel busy. There's this thing called problem founder fit. So problem founder fit is where you care so much about an industry and about a problem and about a whole thing, and then you start to form your own opinions about it. It's the opposite of burnout, right? If burnout is, I put in 5x effort, I get back 1x. This is, I put in 1x effort, I get back 5x.
As entrepreneurs ourselves, as business owners ourselves, how do we sit back and think about the things that matters? So I believe we got a lot of inspiration from your previous discussion about restful entrepreneur, how you talk about looking at the things that really matter, growth models, right? The little levers that help to bring the insane results, right? And it's not resource heavy sometimes. It's actually very simple. Right? So that's very heartening to hear for business owners especially, right? So let's talk about your last initiative, right? What are you doing in the startup space?
So I guess apart from building the card stuff, what I really care a lot for is companies that I believe in that have very strong and uncommon points of view, but oftentimes you find that they are the worst at marketing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because the story is hard to tell, or?
Well, I think so. Like, do you notice this as well? Like sometimes the brands which have the most uncommon points of view don't know how to tell their story.
Yes. They don't know.
Yeah.
Well, because it's so uncommon that they have not thought about how to actually express it.
I think you're right. It's like there is no
benchmark.
Yeah, there's no future, there's no reference because you're creating the future. And you're creating someone no one has spoken about before, right? And so I find it fascinating because increasingly these people are going like, can you help us craft our narrative? Can you help us to tell our story? Can you help us to take this thing which feels so complex to us, right, and simplify it? And if you look at, say, the VC space, there's so much fundraising going on, all these companies that need funding, need growth and all these things, right? There's this common thing which people talk about, which is called product market fit. PMF is very, very glorified. Like, oh, PMF, how to get PMF. And usually the idea is that, oh, does your product fit your market? And then if they spend hundreds of thousands of dollars and many months of trying and they realize it didn't sell, then what do? They go, I'm going to pivot. I'm going to pivot away from this product entirely.
I see.
Yeah. Oh. Which is very interesting. And I think that there's a misconception here somewhere, right? Where people are like, is it really that my product sucks?
Or is it the marketing that sucks?
Yeah, or is it the marketing that sucks? Exactly. I mean, you think about it. Your product was here and it didn't sell. So no one got to try it, or very few got to try it. You never hit critical mass for you to know, right, that this product really sucks. It's more like you never got to tell people about what this thing did in a way that resonated and fit with them.
Yeah.
And so maybe it's not about product market fit. Maybe it's about messaging market fit.
Messaging market fit.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember the origin of Netflix. So Netflix started off with tape rentals.
Yeah.
So they mailed tapes to people's houses, right? And that was the business model back then.
Then DVDs.
Right. But there wasn't a tipping point. There wasn't a worldwide adoption of Netflix. But then suddenly came the subscription era.
Yes.
Right. And then this whole thing just like...
Yeah, the streaming thing, right?
Correct.
And a lot of it came from messaging.
Correct.
Yeah, I remember that they would frame what they were doing as like, oh, this is streaming, right? It's on-demand streaming. And then they would call TVs. Remember what they called TVs? We call it
Box.
appointment setting TV.
Because you have to set an
You have to
appointment with the
you have to
TV
appoint-
to watch.
Yeah.
the
You sit down and
appointment
it's 7 p.m. every day. Okay, cool. Right? You have to schedule
I
it
think the
in
Gen
and set an
Zs and
appointment.
Gen Alphas don't know this.
Yeah, they don't know this, right? So that was the era. And a lot of the times it comes down to messaging and the words, right, that tell a story, and that determines whether you have fit. It's not really the product most of the time. And suddenly when you shift away from the paradigm of product market fit to like this MMF thing, right, you can get dramatically different results with just the changing of a few words.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's quite incredible that what the AI can do with this model and everything. Because sometimes I have clients who say, "Can we do A/B tests?" Yes, but but the statistical significance is something
hard, right?
that a lot of clients don't actually understand. That the numbers just don't work out enough for it to actually make a dent to say which is doing better.
Yeah, 100%. Because in order for you to find what works, you're looking for outliers. So outliers are like, in 10 things, which are the 2 things which spike, right? So Pareto principle is where like 20% of all the campaigns and marketing activities that you do or anything in life you do gets you 80% of the results. The problem is that in marketing or business growth, what are those 20% of things? And when it comes to a full campaign where you know it's going to begin with ads, actually what is that 20%? Or what's that 20% in that 20%? And if you know just the tiny things, like we said, we just test paints, right? You just know that, right? And that costs what? $50 or $70, and in 2 days you know. Can you imagine how much easier life becomes?
I can't imagine.
There's a very, very strategic and automated approach to it. And so basically that team will be testing this with different businesses in the coming months. And in a sense, it's very restful for me. I mean, I'm not the expert in coding or the technicality of a lot of these things, but if you have clarity about certain growth models and what you need to move, then actually there's a lot of repeatability. So so that's something that I want to roll out more.
So what you're saying here, I think it is not against, but rather a different perspective from product designers. Because product designers will think to constantly perfect the product until there's a product to market fit, or constantly tweak the product until there's a product to market fit.
Okay, so good point there, right? Now, in order for me to go, so in order for you to say, I have a product, let me tweak my product to get to product market fit. That's the same as doing an A/B test. It just happens to be on a product level now. Now the question is, how are you going to get statistical significance? So to get to stat sig, they call it stat sig, right? You need maybe at least 300 people,
buying the product.
To have used and bought that product.
Right?
No,
not just seen the product, but actually
at
used
least,
it.
Right? And if you want more meaningful, you have to hit around 1,000 because this is where you see certain things start to flip.
Correct.
Okay, is it easier to get 1,000 people to buy your product or 1,000 people to see your ad?
See your ad for
See
sure.
your ad, right?
Yeah.
So then which is easier to tweak and discover what really works? And if you can find fit here and what people want and are looking for, then yes, you can actually update your product and refine it with what people are resonating with.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So if business owners, as they're waiting for a product to be developed, right? Yeah. What can you advise them to do first to find a messaging market fit?
I'd say ask yourself, okay, there's this pretty interesting question, right? Where it's, number one, who are you serving? So really understand who you're serving. And I don't mean like come up with your demographic profile, which is like Sally wears a hat and she listens to her AirPods every day on the train. She goes from Clementi to Kembangan and then she leaves. It's not like that made up story.
Yeah.
It's more about discovering what I call a micro story. Just understand this micro story. And if this micro story fits the person who is reading it, everything, it kind of affects 70 to 90% of the rest of the campaign. If you get this micro story correct. And that is where I'm at now. Okay, so that's where I'm at now, where I'm headed towards, and what's holding me back. So you think of it as there's a pain that I'm facing, right? There are symptoms, there's a pain. There's an outcome which I'm looking towards. And what are my constraints? Yeah. What are my challenges? Which, for example, let's say someone says, oh, I've been so unhealthy and I've been wanting to lose weight. So you want to lose weight. Oh, but, I want to get from here to here, without like cutting out all my carbs. I don't really want to do the keto thing. I kind of love bread, right?
Yeah.
And so like, what is that micro story that if you can identify, actually breaks down into the elements of where I'm at, where I want to be, what's holding me back. And if you can craft statements of those things and you can mix and match to find something and spend a little bit of money to just test, right? And see what message resonates more, you actually can find that fit faster. So you don't need to be an expert at buying ads or anything. In fact, let's say you have an email list, you can easily just do a split test, right? If you have, sometimes if you have, let's say, let me think of another way. Okay, so let's say if you have IG and you wanted to do a poll, you can have people respond to that poll. You can run content, have people, you just see what people are responding to. And I'd say that another piece of advice is this. Surveys are not exactly the same as behaviors. Right? So if I ask somebody, okay, do you like this product? Yes, I love this product. Will you buy it? Yes, I'll buy it. Do you buy it?
Until there's money on the table, they've actually paid for it, it's not
right?
deal.
So if I ask someone sometimes like, do you feel more pain when it comes to this, or you feel more pain when it comes to that, right? Or do you feel more desire when it comes to this outcome in your life? Like, let's say, supporting your aging parents, or do you feel more excitement when it comes to like, being able to buy my gigantic house or something like that? And people will tell you, of course, it's my aging parents, right? So you don't really know until you just put things out there and you see what people respond towards. Yeah, and I guess the last huge tip, this is super, super, super important. So there's something called the law of conservation of intent.
Wow.
Conservation of
I
intent.
know conservation of energy. I didn't know conservation of intent.
Conservation of intent. So what this means is that as much as I've talked about growth models, right, and that if you boost certain numbers here, it should boost numbers there, right? A lot of the time, a number being boosted in the front does not boost the revenue number at the back. So just because I get double the people who join my webinar or something like that, right, doesn't mean I'm going to get double the sales.
I see.
Because there's usually this thing called conservation of intent. And that occurs, right, when the people who are trying to optimize a page to say like, oh, I have figured out ways to get more people to subscribe. I've figured out more ways to get people to register. I will offer them a free Dyson vacuum cleaner. Right? And basically, you have boosted a metric, but it had nothing to do with building intent towards the outcome, the eventual outcome. And so, yes, focus on boosting these things, but understand, right, that if you don't do it by establishing and building up intent in the front, you will be bound by the law of conservation of intent.
The conti.
I see.
Yeah.
The ad conti.
Exactly. The continuity of like the ad sense that we talk about it, right? Like the scent, the ad scent, where is the smell from the start what remains congruent at every step of the way and builds up towards the outcome of better revenue, better community and things like that.
It's not the numbers for the sake of the number.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically.
Yeah. It's why they clicked, right? It's not just higher clicks. Can you get higher clicks, but people clicking for the right reason? Yeah. And then,
that's why we shun upon clickbaitish ads, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So distasteful.
Yeah, distasteful and not effective actually.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Amazing.
Yeah.
I'm glad for this discussion. Very insightful. Thank you so much, Huron.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Last but not least, we always have this ritual
what's
in
the ritual?
our podcast is to introduce yourself again, but with the sentence, hi, I'm Huron and I'm on a mission to...
Wow. So high stress.
High stress.
So where do I look?
Here, this camera.
Hi, camera. So hi, I'm Huron, and I'm on a mission to inspire and reshape beliefs so that people can escape their doom loops and reach a high level of truth, freedom, purpose, and meaning. Yeah.
Yay!
Wow.
Okay, I want to start this ritual as well. Another ritual.
Okay, what is the other ritual?
Another ritual. I learned this from Stephen Butler's podcast.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he loves to have an opportunity for you to ask the next guest a question.
Oh, cool. Ask the next, but that depends on what the next guest does, right?
So the next guest, she is, you want to share?
Yeah, so our next guest is a gym owner.
Okay.
And she is actually in the space to empower people and give people a space where they can naturally be kids again as an adult, go out there, have fun, train, and be training in a space where there's no judgment.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow. So it's like a gym kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where,
with BJJ.
Yeah.
Muay Thai and fitness. They do classes, PT classes and martial arts classes.
Yeah. One of their target audience is mothers.
Yeah, so they do for kids as well. And then they will have the mothers joining in.
Wow.
And that's quite incredible because like they're not naturally the people who will do martial arts.
Yeah.
And then they're most proud of like those of their people, their community, whom people look at them and will never guess that these people are training in martial arts.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah.
I would ask, maybe, it sounds a bit morbid, but it's called the funeral story.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay,
wow.
the funeral. Like what I want to know, like what's the funeral story? So, for example, if so there's a story, and basically there's a couple, and the couple wants to say buy an investment property. And so if you ask them, oh, why do you buy this investment property? They'll say, oh, passive income is a very good thing. We want good growth. We think that it should kind of outweigh our active income, right?
Yeah.
The smart textbook answers.
Yes.
Yeah.
But if you were to kind of ask them like, where were you when you first had that conversation with your husband and you realized that this was very important? And then they go something like, oh, actually we were at my our friend's funeral, and then we realized that if we are no longer around, right, because the parents just were in a bad accident, and if we are no longer around, then what will our children do? Like, who will provide for them, and like what would actually happen? So we realized that you need something that's around when we're no longer around. Okay, totally different reason. Gives it a reason why to the passive income and all these things, right? And like, I'd like to know, like, in terms of the next guest, in terms of no judgment and movement and all these things, like, perhaps there are two funeral stories here. One when, it's a she, right? One when she was much younger, which created a conviction, but maybe not yet a clear how. So I want to know the first one. And then what's the second funeral story, which is that where she knew that this is where she needed to move towards, and when she had clarity of the how, where was she and what was going on to go, click, I need to do this. Yeah.
Oh, that's a great
That's
question.
what I want to know. Yeah.
Okay. When she was a kid and when she grew up.
What's your funeral
Tipping
story,
point.
so to speak? Yeah.
Okay, we'll ask this later.
Cool. Later.
Yeah.
All right, thank you
All
so
right,
much.
thank
Huron.
you. Thanks for having me.